Thank you very much for joining us. Now to our very first story. Yesterday, President John Dramani Mahama launched a full-scale attack on the New Patriotic Party's running mate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, according to President Mahama, the persistent touts by Dr. Bawumia and other communicators in the NPP describing himself and his government as incompetent are baseless and lack merit. He said the persistent insults and attacks on him will not distract him from carrying out his duties as president, adding that he will live up to the mandate given him by the people of Ghana.
I have been the most insulted. Indeed, I think my government has been the most insulted government in the history of this country. And every day you listen to the radio and personal invectives and insults are rained on my person. But like I said, those things are not going to distract me. I have a job to do. So boy, I was given a mandate by the people of Ghana, and I'm not going to let those useless insults distract me from that mandate. So boy, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. If you see what your enemy will do to themselves, then you can guess what they will do to you if they get you. So boy, the other day I received an audio recording on my WhatsApp, and I opened it and listened to it. Indeed, I felt so sad. I felt sad. I mean, no cultured person should ever do what the woman who was talking on that audio did, Auntie B or whatever her name is, insulting the former president of this country. I mean, it's unacceptable. I don't know how many of you have heard that audio recording. It's unacceptable. And I felt sad for President Kufuor, but then it also gave me, in Twi we say, Arishim, because if they can insult President Kufuor like that, they ask for me, they will grind me in a potoyua. They'll grind me in a potoyua. They've told all their communicators, anytime you mention Mahama or NDC, say incompetent. So you hear Bawumia and say incompetent Mahama administration, incompetent. You've never held any responsibility anywhere near presidency before. You don't know what it is like to be president. So boy, I will take that word from Kufuor or from Rawlings because they've been there before. All of you guys have never ever come near the presidency. You know what it is to be a president? And you stand and say, incompetent Mahama administration, incompetent Mahama administration.
Well, let's get on the phone lines and get some thoughts on this particular issue. Well, the president has received a lot of backlash following that particular comment of his. But joining us over the telephone lines now is Dr. Richard Amoako Pohbah, who is a political science lecturer. In fact, he is the head of the political science department at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He joins us live now over the telephone. Dr. Amoako Pohbah, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Morning. Just a little correction. I'm no longer the head of department.
Right. Okay, right. Many thanks for that correction. But, okay, so to the very first question, I mean, to hear a president make such comments, some are saying that the president goofed. Is that an assertion you agree with?
Well, it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. I would say goofed. That actually, this is what is funny. If he goofed, it means what he did was goofy. Goofy is fooling around, right? But this is something I would say unfortunate, a statement he made that he should not have made, and that's how I'll put it. He shouldn't have said that.
Okay, so the question, the issue now is many are saying he shouldn't have said that and no, but can you blame him for responding in such a manner, seeing that there are always such attacks on him, even when probably he has nothing to do with the issues?
Well, yes, I can blame him still, because he is the president. Sometimes if it doesn't rain, we can still blame him, right or wrong, fair or not. That is the job. That's part of the job description. When you become president, you are in charge, right? And in his case, he has a lot of power. And so when things go bad, who should we blame? Him, nobody else. It is not appropriate for him to say what he said, because first of all, it doesn't make sense for you to say that the only people who can criticize you are these two gentlemen. Does the country belong to the two of them? What about the rest of us? We are just bystanders. It makes no sense at all. Right? I mean, yes, you have to have a thick skin. If you're going to be president, that's part of the job. Somebody said President Mills looked like a monkey. Was that a big issue? Just take it in passing. Criticism is part of it. Besides, when someone says Mahama administration is incompetent, doesn't mean you, John Dramani Mahama, is incompetent. It means your administration is incompetent. That's what the person is saying. And what do you want him to say? If he feels that it is incompetent, based on whatever it is assessment he's made, you don't think for him, you don't speak for him. He says it's mine. And that's what he thinks. And if you think you're not incompetent, well, then show it. Not incompetence. The criticism of incompetence cannot be stopped by mere words, by argument. No, it is by performance. Show us. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. You look at all these indicators, and then people will stop saying that. But you don't get to say that the only person who can criticize you are the two gentlemen who have been president before. It makes no sense. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say things like that. I think Duncan Williams says something to that effect, that if you have not lived his life, you can't criticize him. How is that possible? All of us know that Chelsea team in the UK is not doing well. People are criticizing Jose Mourinho. Are we coaches? Only coaches can criticize him. But the person who cooked the food does not get to say it tastes good or not. Is the one who consumes the food who should give the compliment.
But again, one would say you are not in his shoes, so you definitely do not feel.
I don't have to be in his shoes to see how it should be. That's the whole thing. I don't have to be. I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell a good doctor from a bad one, because a bad one kills patients. It's very simple. You don't necessarily have to be a professional in a specialized field to even criticize what is going on.
How exactly could the president have responded to this particular issue he speaks of, the one where Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says, well, he's incompetent, I must say.
Well, look, others have said words. Nana Addo said the same thing. Prophet Indium says Dramani Mahama has been a total failure. So what? It comes with the job. This is where it is appropriately said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. That's it. You be president, you don't get to tell people what they should say about you. If you do right, people will defend you. If you're doing well, people will praise you, not just your core supporters. So that's how it works.
So you believe the comments that we are hearing now is just a reflection of the president's performance?
Of course it is. Who in Ghana does not know things are not going well? You tell me. Who?
So you agree that
you are living on the moon.
So you do agree that the president is incompetent?
Well, I wouldn't call him that, but it's up to the person who is describing it. If you ask me, I'll say it another way. But it's up to the person.
How would you say it?
Look, when I criticize the president, I give constructive ideas as to how he can do it better. I have said several times, they should be honest. That's the first thing. You see, this is the art of politics. Suppose the president says, okay, folks, I know things are not going well, but we are doing the best we can, and bear with us. Who is insulting or who will criticize him, overly criticize him? He has acknowledged what is on the ground. But when you keep talking as if everything is going okay, well, then of course we will not agree, because everything is not going okay.
The issue has to do with the dishonesty on the part of the president.
Well, I won't call it dishonest. I won't call it that.
How would you tell me?
But whatever way he is seeing it, it's not the reflection on the ground. But maybe he's not seeing it properly. Right. You see, when you use certain words, it is from your own perspective. but it may not be from the president's perspective. So I'll tell you, this is what is on the ground. Why don't you see it? If you don't see it, now I'm pointing it out to you, right? But when we are at IMF, when we have borrowed up to our eyebrows, when we are living in doomsday, when businesses are failing left and right, well, how do you describe such a government? You tell me.
Right.
How do you describe it?
You also mentioned something about constructive criticism as an approach you would actually employ. Now, do we see that play out in the political landscape here in Ghana?
They are not helping the president. Look, I've said it several times. When you are in politics, when you get in this trouble, you don't get to just say anything you want at any time. You write things out. It has to be scripted. That way you are careful what you say. Even the choice of words must be looked at. This is why the president has so many advisors at the first level. What are they doing? Write it out for him. Or he can write it and read it so that you know exactly what you're going to say. Even the choice of words are important. Remember when he went and said that Ghanaians, we have what? Dead goat syndrome? You see what has happened? Why would you allow him to use such words? Now they are calling his budget dead goat, and everything is dead goat. He brought it on himself. Now, you called me to talk about this issue we're talking about.
Sure.
Which means you know there's something wrong with it. Don't you agree? I mean, we wouldn't be talking about it if he said the right thing. Come out, it is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Come out and acknowledge the difficulties we are facing. You can point out some things we are doing to tackle the problem. Don't enumerate our bill this, our bill that. No. But when you do that, you are discrediting it. It becomes propaganda.
Dr. Pohbah, but has he not done all these things? He has come out to tell you...
Continue to do it. Continue to do it. You don't do it sometime, and then when you get tired, you stop, and then you start fighting, arguing that people are not being fair to you. They are calling you incompetent. No. You continue to stay the course. You are a statesman. You are the leader. You cannot behave like the others. Now, if Bawumia becomes president and he turns around and we'll do the same thing, you tell him the same thing.
That Ghanaians will probably insult Dr. Bawumia as well if he becomes vice president?
Well, if somebody calls me incompetent, I don't think it is an insult.
Okay, so you see that as a description?
It's his assessment of your performance. You see, I don't see it as an insult. Right. It's his assessment of your performance. Now, if you think the assessment is not fair, now come and point things out to him that because of this, why are you still saying I'm incompetent when I've done all these things? Okay. That's it. Right? But you cannot be president and have such thin skin that people say these things and you take it to heart. It looks to me as if the president is getting frustrated.
But right. Is that a mark of a good leader, a leader who is unable to stomach criticisms?
Well, the problem is this. Once you agree to become president, you are responsible for everything that happens in the country, fair or unfair. Sometimes if it doesn't rain, we will say it's your fault. Yeah. Right? But you don't take it as stride, of course. A reasonable person knows that it's not your fault. But those who want to make fun of it will say that it is your fault. So what?
So is there a correlation in any way as regards his leadership?
Well, it is not a good sign, that this others have done worse, and nobody said anything. Why would you even respond to this? That someone says your administration is incompetent.
So, as a good president, what he could have done was to probably ignore those comments.
Ignore the comment. You have so many people who can respond to it, not you. You stay above the fray. Let the communication minister say it. Let the Dunketia say it, not you. So that when they say it, and in case they don't say it properly, if they go overboard, you can still come back and correct it. But when you yourself are the one who is in this argument, who is left to correct anything?
Right. Dr. Richard Amoako, many thanks for your time on News Desk this morning. And Dr. Richard Amoako is a political scientist. He's with the Political Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Well, like I said, the president seems to be taking a lot of flag for those comments. But despite the backlash, national organizer of the NDC, Kofi Adams, maintains there's nothing wrong with the president's comments. Now, in an interview with Joy News earlier this morning, Kofi Adams described the approach adopted by the opposition NPP to consistently criticize the president as draconian, adding the president had no option than to respond in such a manner.